thank you. So, मलाई चाहिँ, 2 hours in today's world, when you can't watch a 5 to 7 minutes TED talk, in one go, it's a challenge, and I think we both, everybody, we all need to work towards making this next, 2 hours very productive. So I think I would like to be as interactive as possible. I would like to answer questions rather than, sort of make long speeches from here. And if I think it's getting boring or if you're not enjoying it, please raise your hand, because I'm a person who believes that you have to be customer focused. In Nepal ma ke cha bhane एकातिर यसरी बोल्न पाए भने त म पहिला माइक टाइसन भन्थे के माइक टाइसन भनेपछि माइक भेटाए टाइ लाएपछि गएको गएकै के so I think we've seen a lot of Mike Tysons in Nepal, so and it's applicable to people who wear daura as well, and topi also, so it's not only with Mike. So I'll try to avoid as much as possible. Today, I've been asked to talk about my journeys. What I thought is that we'll take 3 journeys to discuss. So one is my own personal journey, having started my career at Solti Hotel just as a trainee in 1989. That is like few centuries back for some of you. So from there, I spent nearly 20 years of my career at Solti, and we went on to become the group president of Tara Management. So that's the journey I had. It spanned 20 years. Then Beatco journey itself is about 10 years. So then I just thought I'll talk about my Beat journey. What has been the journey like? And maybe there could be some lessons for entrepreneurs and for aspiring professionals. And then I said, having been written books, so I said, let me talk about Nepal's journey also. And I think within these 3 journeys, we'll spend the next 2 hours. So let me do some audience check. Nepali बुझ्दै नबुझ्ने कोही छ? Anybody who can't understand Nepali? Okay, that's easy. अङ्ग्रेजी नबुझ्ने? So I'll try to be as bilingual as possible. Let's do a check. So how many of you are running your businesses? Can I have a show of hands? Okay. There are people who are running businesses. So people who are working professionals? Okay, we have working professional. Students? Okay, we have students also. So I think it's a good mix of people to have. So those, I think, while at introducing, they talked about, somebody might have a sort of research. Any of you follow me on Twitter? Okay, there are people who follow me on Twitter. People who read my columns. I write for Kathmandu Post. Okay, there are people who read columns also. Anybody who's read Unleashing Nepal, my book? Okay. Okay, half of it, it's okay. So you must have read Unleashing, not Nepal. Okay, so Unleashing Nepal. So yeah, that's my world. So my world is about writing, it's about entrepreneurship, it's about, ideating. So those who have heard of BEAD, anybody who's have folks working with BEAD, okay, and Nepal Economic Forum. Okay, so those are the world I belong to, and there's another world I also represent a U.S. company called Bauer Group Asia. So do Google that. So it's a advisory firm that spans its horizon across Asia. We are in all the 25 locations in Asia. I represent their Bhutan and Nepal market. So whenever BEAD runs out of bandwidth, we then wear the Bauer Group Asia hat to work in. Okay, so let me just, somebody can pass on the mic. I just want to, again, do an audience check, or I think people are loud enough to see that what do you want to hear? When you came into this room, your room ma आउनु भन्दा अगाडि के सुन्छु के सुन्ने भने चाहिँ रमाइलो होला जस्तो लाग्छ किनभने मलाई चाहिँ मैले भने नि कस्टमर फोकस बस्नु पाए नि हुन्छ हैन मैले सुनाउनु पर्ने कुरा भन्दाखेरि तपाईहरुले सुन्नु पर्ने कुराहरु सुन्न मन लागेको कुराहरुबाट कुरा गर्यो भने it might be more interesting. So anybody one can say what you would like to listen. Okay, so maybe as very interesting perspectives you want to hear. So as I move on, so in terms of my own personal journey when I began, I mean, I did my education in India. I studied in Kalimpong. That's where I went to schooling. I did my, I was in Calcutta for my college and St. Xavier's. Then my first degree is chartered accountant. So I those were the days when you had to go do your CA degree from India. And during the time when you do chartered accountancy, you had to also do training. And that's where, when I was at Solti, and I joined as a trainee, and that was the time when we used to be paid 400 rupees stipend. Till now, also, you don't get great money as a trainee, for sure. And that's where my journey began, and it was the right time I came. And in terms of 1989, when the blockades happened, the first round of blockades, and then Nepal was moving into sort of the multi-party democracy. And I just don't want to get into a chronological order of how, what happened. But I think the two good things, and I see, and as you reflect in our own journeys, it's very important to reflect and see. And what my biggest learning was that when I came back to Nepal to work, good things were happening to me at that point of time. At that point of time, computers had just come into Nepal. There were some computers in the Royal Palace, there were some computers in Solti, and people were paying like $5,000 for a machine that would have 2 disk drives. So we were not even during the megabyte days. So those are the times. But then I had computer skills, so that helped me. So I had direct access to a lot of people working. The other advantage I was bilingual, because of the fact that I could read Nepali, I could write in Nepali, and also read and write in English. That was a great strength. So at times when you look at issues, you think that you need great skills to do great things, but it may not be you need great things. Simple things may work. And for me, simple things worked. At that point of time was when I started reading a lot of Nepali vernacular newspapers, and त्यसपछि त्यसलाई चाहिँ त्यसको चाहिँ सारांश जस्तो बनाएर, summary जस्तो बनाएर, I used to write in English, and that became how I started writing my initial columns. So that worked very well, because Nepali workforce at that point of time, those who were new Nepali they had challenges with English, and a lot of people who came to work in Nepal came from India and other places, and their Nepali was poor, they couldn't read. And even a lot of people in the elite households could not really read or write Nepali, because they were educated in English. A lot of people within the elite, sort of the royal households and around that. So that is an advantage I had. So again, going back is that small things do matter. Also, as I moved ahead, that was a time when Nepal opened up. I still remember, we had, the financing became, and I said from an accounting, I don't think I should be an accountant anymore. And I said, okay, ठिकै छ, गएर चाहिँ यो चार्ट अकाउन्टेन्टको त कामै हुँदैन होला, सबै अटोमेट हुँदैछ, सबैको चाहिँ कम्प्युटराइज हुँदैछ, so I should look for something. And that's when I said, okay, computers हुँदैछ, and let me learn Lotus 1, 2, 3, then later Excel, and start doing financial spreadsheets, and that's what got me into the world of finance. And that's where I started enjoying it. I went in for multiple trainings around the world of finance. And when you are moving in the world of finance, that's the time when Solti, as a royal family holding, decided to go public. And this is when even stock exchange was not established. So this is when we did the first share issue on a premium. And that's, and then we started raising funds internationally. So we got International Finance Corporation, IFC. That was the first time I dealt with them to raise money to do the Soltiko Ailiko Conference Hall project. त्यो टाइममा first large scale, अब त्यो टाइमको लागि large, and about a couple of $1 million. So that's where we started doing spreadsheets, and then I started moving on. Then I said finance is my forte. Then the Botikoshi project came, and the first IPP, that was the Independent Power Project, where you are getting international financing institutes coming in. You have an American joint venture partner you're working with. So that gives you an exposure. तर गर्दा गर्दा के भयो भने, as you outgrow in finance, you are born into an entrepreneurial family. So you're always looking at business. You want to be a business person. त्यो भित्रको entrepreneur चाहिँ जुन भित्रको उद्यमीलाई चाहिँ मार्न गाह्रो हुने रहेछ के त्यो उद्यमी. Then I got into business development मा काम गर्न थाले, नयाँ प्रोजेक्ट्सहरु गर्न थाले, सिप्रतिको नयाँ प्रोजेक्ट्सहरु आयो. We started working on that within housing projectsहरु मा सुरु गरे. Then I also realized that I had a gap, and when I used to sit on boards, and especially when I used to do work for Surya Nepal, and they used to say that finance को मान्छे आएर हामीलाई ब्रान्डिङ को गफ दिने हामीलाई चाहिँ ब्रान्डिङ सिकाउने भनेर चाहिँ भन्न थाल्यो आई सेड नो नाउ I need to fill this gap भनेर that's when I went into did a degree in marketing so I actually got an international diploma in marketing from Boston University and then I said okay now guys I can talk about branding I can talk about marketing मसँग अब डिग्री यो नेपालमा चाहिँ त्यो पनि चाहिने रहेछ के यो चाहिँ एउटा छाप हैन अनि के हो भनेपछि चाहिँ जति नै मान्छेसँग नलेज भयो भने पनि there is that need हैन अब as you say that what credibility do you have to talk about this issue which brings to if you don't have anything what can you do भने जस्तो so then marketing को world बाट जान्दा जान्दा then I said okay it makes more sense to now you get into leadership positions and I think by the time I left the group one thing very clearly I came out was that I was very good at leading teams. I was good at managing teams. I had my own ways of doing things. And that's why also I said that, okay, I was just 40. I was already group president of the largest, business group in Nepal. So what can you do next? You can't be doing much. You can't be playing golf and, twiddling your thumb. So you have to do something substantial. And that's when I said, okay, it is all about people. And that took me back to Columbia University. And in 2012, I got my third qualification as a certification in coaching. And it took me about a year to get that certification in Columbia University. But, so I'm sharing this also to say that, त्यो journey-मा चाहिँ बीचमा त्यो छापा लगाउनै जानुपर्ने रहेछ अनि त्यो कोचिङ सर्टिफिकेसन भइसकेपछि चाहिँ then people were willing to take leadership lessons from me because I mean what I talk now when I do leadership workshop selling my Columbia degree is not something that I learned in Columbia or I learned it was not something out of meditation I came in and it's that people want to know what is the credibility you have so at times it's very important to get the right affiliations get the right memberships of institutions get the right to be in the right fraternity. So I'm just again reflecting upon and talking about how I felt within this journey. And then even when I started working on my leadership, so one of the as being a born Buddhist under a Theravada practice, so that's why I said that Buddhism used to intrigue me. I had read a lot, and I said, okay, Buddhism and awareness ko bisayma. So my whole thesis around Columbia University ko, my coaching certification was around. Making this is mindfulness, awareness, and presence. Area, that's where I was working. And I used to talk about mindfulness, and I used to talk about awareness in the workplace. How do you manage? कसरी गर्ने भनेर. तर again त्यही question आयो. र तपाईं विपश्यना बस्नु भएको छ. हैन तपाई विपश्यना नबसिकन तपाई कसरी कुरा गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ again the same question so you need and then I said okay ल ठिकै छ भने 2016 मा I ordained as a monk for 12 days and I went through a full Satipatthana retreat and I said okay now I've got my I've got my picture with a monk robe now okay guys now now will you believe me so what comes out very clearly as we move into our entrepreneurial journey or our journey as a professional or journey as whatever, an academic or a pracademic, what comes out very clearly is to be able to have those, sort of endorsements. And those endorsements become very important. Nepalma, if the endorsements come from outside, it's even better. And if it's a degree from outside or and how do you within your days of entrepreneurship, within the time you have, how are you going to spend your time to get these certification and it's also the networks that brings in these sort of programs that bring in. I think in terms of also my working what I learned is that to break bigger things into smaller issues and then tackle it, that became much more easier for me to handle, and that's something that I learned in my professional career as an executive. And then, again, I'll talk about positive thinking and others coming in. So let me take a break. So maybe I'll just then start with my beat journey. So when I was in Solti, के भयो भने सोल्टीमा as we are moving यहाँ नेपालमा अब द्वन्द्वकाल सुरु भयो 1996 to 2006 को द्वन्द्वकाल हुँदाखेरि of course I mean there was a Royal Massacre. Royal Massacre did impact a lot of our at least my personal life in the sense that my chairman of the investment committee then on went to become the king, and so which means that he he had to get out of the business, and he didn't have any sort of able guys to manage his stuff. And then you had his business partner, Mr. Prabhakar Rana, who just died recently. And so there's this, we had different value systems. Mr. Rana and his son, Siddharth Rana, who currently is the chair of the Tara management companies. And हामीले सोच्न थाल्यो अब के गर्ने त यो होल चेन्ज जुन आउँदैछ एन्ड देन नेपालमा अब 2002 मा द किङ टुक ब्याक पावर 2005 मा त ही डिसाइडेड दैट sort of he would get absolute power, dissolved everything. And that's when we decided that यो गरेर त यहाँ बसेर त हाम्रो त के पनि हुनेवाला छैन, and things Soul Team the way it was moving, the hotel, the thinking process, then that's the time we said that, okay, this is where we move out. And then we decided, then Tara Management was established. That's when the Bodhikoshi acquisition took place, where from being an American, sort of company owning about 75%, the Nepali firm went on to buy about 95% of the company. IFC as a shareholder exited. That's the deal I got in. So once I got into the deal, I also became hungry for deals. And, and that's where we did 2 private equity funds. The first 2 funds we did, Surya Fund and Tara Fund, was the first private equity funds we did, and with help to, finance the Bodhikoshi acquisition. And that's the time when unfortunately, my former boss got into some health issues. अनि मलाई पनि त्यहाँ चाहिँ internal management consulting भनेर चाहिँ मैले division create गरेको थिएँ. That was helping. We were doing business promotion. We were looking at doing a bigger fund. We were trying to look at many more investment opportunities. And then, so when he got sick, and then he said, okay, we have to, recalibrate. There's not going to be growth. And I said, okay, let me take the, sort of the internal management consulting team and start on my own. And then started Bead. And that's the time when it was the next opening. So I saw what happened in 1990 when Nepal opened up. I saw a lot of opportunities. That's why I decided that despite studying in India and having a lot of career opportunities outside, in India and outside, I decided to be in Nepal. Similar thing I said in 2005, 2006, when, sort of Nepal, the insurgency ended, and Nepal started talking about a new constitution. And we said, okay, here is another opportunity. And if you look around at that point of time, a lot of countries were facing similar problems. It was not only Nepal was having into problems. So a lot of countries were in conflict. They were just getting out of conflict. Like a lot of countries in the 90s were getting out to an open economy. In 2005, 2006, we see a lot of countries coming out of conflict. And we said, Nepal, that way, maybe we can, because whatever said and done, हाम्रो जति पनि इन्सर्जेन्सीको प्रब्लम थियो हामीले आफैले नै रिजल्भ गर्यौं के. We didn't have international peacekeepers come into Nepal. We didn't have foreign armies come to Nepal and resolve it. And the worst could happen. And those who lived through the 2005-06 को insurgency, worst could happen. And 2010 सम्म माओवादीहरूले नै काठमाडौँ घेरिसकेका थिए नि. हामी कस्तो कस्तो किसिमको चाहिँ भनौं न डर लिएर त्रास लिएर चाहिँ हामी बसिरहेको हुन्थ्यो. If things would have gone wrong, it could have gone wrong in a big way. And that's where I continue to look at it positively, to say that, okay, here is an opportunity. Nepalमा त के हुन्छ नै भनेर. And that's where I said, okay, that's where Nepalमा अब आउँछ भने त international investments आउँछ, के नै आउँछ. And people thought I was crazy. Leaving a nice job that paid me one of the highest salaries in Nepal, with a great stock option, I dumped that to start. And when we started Bead, I didn't have even a single client. I had a team of 8 people then, and we said, okay, Gorne, and we started purely as on a startup mode. And अहिले पनि मेरो office जस्तो चल्छ यहाँ पाटन ढोकामा ढोकैमा cafe. You know ढोकैमा cafe, ढोकैमा cafe मेरो छेउमा, because I was also chair of, at that point in time, Himal published गर्ने South Asia Trustको म chair थिएँ. Then I told my friend Kanak Dai to say like माथिको room चाहिँ हामीलाई rent गरिदिनुस् भनेर. So एउटा रूममा त्यो ढोकामाबाट नै त्यो यलमाया केन्द्रबाट 2टा टेबल rent गरेर त्यो टेबलमा टेबल क्लथ हालेर 8वटा ल्यापटप किनेर चाहिँ, that's how Beat began. But what we invested heavily was not on computers or the infrastructure. We invested heavily on building the brand. We had multiple workshops. We hired one of the best people who could do logos. And when you think of it, the mount, I mean, it looks like a very simple logo, but we spent a lot of money doing the logo. We spent a lot of money doing workshops, going off-site into Park Village, into Godavari, into all these resorts, spending days and nights, ideating on what. And then what we said is that whatever we do now, we have to build something for 10 years, our vision. And that's where, when I started BEAD, we began with a tool. So I do a tool called Vision Mandala. So Vision Mandala is a tool it's a proprietary tool I've created that looks at brand visioning. So those who work in branding, you would understand that. There's a brand visioning tool and then the strategic management tool. So I've converted that into a mandala. It is based on the Guru Rinpoche's, the Padmasambhava's mandala with the 4 corners and the entry end. And at the center, you have your core values. Based on that, I created that. And if I look back 10 years, so today also we use the same mandala to, sort of look at our strategy, look at our customer acquisition, look at our target segment, even when we go into different geographies. So it's very important, I realize that is to spend, and we spend about 2 months of planning. But we were very lucky. Clients started flowing in. We started getting clients. People were just perhaps some business houses were just waiting for me to leave my earlier job so that I could come and start advising on businesses. So that's how the BEAD journey began. And then we started, and I've always wanted to do something new, and that's when we started BEAD Invest. This was the first portfolio management company in Nepal. And again, people were asking, what are you trying to do? And sort of starting a portfolio management company. But again, we hired some very good advisors from India who knew that stuff very well. They came in. Not only we started that business, त्यसपछि laws laws So BEAD ko journey चाहिँ त्यसरी हुँदै गयो र then we got into got into doing the Business Oxygen Fund, which is now currently we sold it to White Lotus. This Siddhant Pandey runs it, so that was another 3.5 years it took because IFC knew us very well. So we structured that fund. It took us nearly 3.5 years to structure $14 million fund. So yeah, we started doing that. We have the development consulting side, which is working with multilaterals, bilaterals, your World Bank, IFC, Asian Development Bank, DFID, USAID. So we did, over a period of time, we had a unique business system where we did development consulting as well as corporate, working on, financial acquisition transactions like the sale of Summit Hotel or buy of Gokarna Resort. A lot of, in Nepal where formal M&A type of work was not happening, we worked with FMO buying into NMB Bank, the merger of Clean Energy Development Bank and NMB. So those are some of the things we did. And when you look back, then, it's now 10 years, we've done about 140 assignments, so I can't, we can't complain about the, the diversity of stuff we've done. But when I started BEAD, I also was very clear that, my dream was always, like when I finished my chartered accountancy and I went to my boss, his name was Amar Raj Singh, and I told him, sir, I want a job where I could, do 9 months of work and 3 months of, traveling and all that. And he said that, you won't do it for the next 20 years. He said, it's very difficult, If you're working, you can't have that sort of life. But I always wanted to travel. I always wanted to do international work. But also, I didn't want to work outside. मैले डालसमा पनि प्यान्डा एनर्जीको अफिसमा बसेर पनि मैले काम गरेँ 3 महिना बसेँ त्यहाँ मलाई त्यो अमेरिकामा बसेर काम गर्नु पनि I thought that's not my life. अनि दिनभरि अफिसमा बस्यो बेलुका गयो त्यो बार स्टुलमा एक्लै घुमेर बस्नु चाहिँ that's not me. And I had so many hobbies. Later on I spent 3 months at the World Bank as a fellow. I saw that there were opportunities, but I said no. नेपालमै बसेर के गर्न सकिन्छ, international गर्न सकिन्छ भनेर. And then a lot of things also happen is that in an unplanned way. It was very interesting. Our first assignment ko lagi, one of my friends, he's a MIT co-professor, Arniko Pandey. He's currently in EC He's come back also. He was doing some work in Rwanda. When he Rwanda he was establishing your air quality monitoring center for Africa, and this was in mountain in Rwanda. We had done some work for हात्तीवनको माथि को चाहिँ हिलको लागि एउटा केबल कार प्रोजेक्टमा हामीले काम गरेका थियौं. So we said, okay, but he said, "Lo, म तिमीलाई पैसा सैसा त छैन, टिकट पठाइदिन्छु र they will put you in a nice hotel." आऊ न. And Rwanda-सम्म चाहिँ मलाई, I don't know why, I had always interest in Rwanda as to how a country-मा यत्रो मान्छे मर्न सक्छ हैन. अब 1994 जस्तो टाइममा हैन, when उनीहरूको population को चाहिँ 1/8 of the population get killed. कसरी हुन सक्छ मलाई जहिले पनि from a humanity perspective, compassion को perspective कस्तो मान्छेहरु होला त के भयो होला भन्ने मलाई जहिले पनि इन्ट्रिग हुन्थ्यो. So that's why I landed in Rwanda. That was 2012. Now it's been 7 years been working. अब त्यहाँ we went in, we did that project, we did the cable car feasibility, then we did the entire उनीहरूको tourism rebranding गर्यो. So if you see some of the work that has happened in, so if you watch those who are Arsenal fans, you'll see a Visit Rwanda on your, So that's and again, it's just fun. I mean, they're willing to do a $32 million 3-year deal. नेपालमा त 32 अहिले आइफाको कुरा आउँदाखेरि मान्छेलाई अब यो भइसक्यो हैन. अब त्यहाँ चाहिँ अब $32 million को 3 years को just to get that little thing on in an Arsenal t-shirt they agreed. So we did a lot of interesting projects. We still do. I mean, I was just there a couple of months back. So that's where it began. र त्यसपछि चाहिँ हामीलाई यो रिजनमा पनि काम गर्नु थियो. Bhutan, because of proximity, the school I went in, a lot of my classmates are from Bhutan. We did in Bhutan. र इन्डियामा चाहिँ our focus is on northeast because अब Delhi, Calcutta, Delhi, मुम्बईमा हामीलाई कम्पिट गर्न चाहिँ गाह्रै छ. तर नर्थ इस्टको कामहरुमा चाहिँ we still see that हाम्रो कल्चरसँग मिल्छ. सो त्यहाँ चाहिँ कम्पिट गर्ने र म्यानमार र कम्बोडियामा हामी काम गरिरहेछौँ. So it's very interesting as to how you can, sort of move and take the same value systems and to say that, okay, I take the same system approach of working in Nepal and outside. And there are ways in which we look at what the Bead culture is all about. And I think if you go to the Bead website, and we ensure that it is all about people. And that's where it's, and Bead Vanale, it's not only the name of the company, we decided that nobody has a designation at Bead. So everybody's a Bead. So that's what you are called. Because Nepalमा हेर्यो नि धेरैजना बिजनेसम्यानको हेर्यो नि त पंखा जस्तो भिजिटिङ कार्ड हुन्छ कि हैन, डाइरेक्टर अफ दिस, चेयरमैन अफ दिस, हैन, पंखा जस्तो हुन्छ कतिवटा एसोसिएसन कतिवटा हैन, and you don't know what is your identity. And people then when I do leadership work and I say that, but who are you? Are you an entrepreneur? How much time are you spending on the entrepreneur stuff, and how much are you spending on these different associations and other stuff? So this is about identity collapse. And then we said Bead, and the Bead shabda as a word came in because the little history is that I used to write for Nepali Times. For those who Nepali Times is a weekly that comes out, and when it began 2001, it was part of the Himal Media stable. So 11 वर्ष चाहिँ मैले एउटा अर्थविद भन्ने एउटा कलम लेखेँ. अनि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ अनि सबैले यहाँ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ स्पेशली एक्सप्याट्रिएट कम्युनिटीमा चाहिँ बट व्हाट डिड द बीड हैव टु से भनेर भन्थ्यो. अनि त्यसपछि मेरो नामै चाहिँ भन्छ नि बीड भनेर पुकार्ने भयो. अनि त्यसपछि आई सेड दिस इज अ गुड ब्रान्ड टु हैव. बीड भन्नाले चाहिँ हाम्रो नेपाली के भन्छ संस्कृतमा चाहिँ वेद हैन, वेदको ज्ञातालाई चाहिँ बीड भन्छ हैन. सो द्याट्स व्हाट वी सेड. अरु भ्याल्यु सिस्टम के हो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ हाउ डु यु लुक एट ओपननेस. So one of the key things, again, Nepalma हामी जति नै कुरा गर्यो भने everything is very closed, and because of our feudal culture, so we said let's start with openness, and so our conference hall is called OT, Open Thoughts. So you start with an openness, everybody. And for me, who had a big cabin and executive assistant and supervisors, for me to come from त्यो environment, but सबैजनासँग बसेर काम गर्ने environment मा it was, I think I had to do the maximum amount of adjustment, but I think it has worked very well in terms of having that openness, in terms of communication, in terms of how you work. Also, we say, if you go to our website, we talk about 11 things that we believe in, and we say that you have to be time fearing and not sort of be you may or may not be God fearing, but time fearing हुनु पर्छ. Because if you look at it, I'm very happy this program is you guys also doing the same, beginning on time. नभए त नेपालमा त अब अस्ति पनि एउटा कुन एसोसिएसनको प्रोग्राममा आएको थियो, प्रधानमन्त्री आउने भने थियो 2.5 hours 3 hours पछि सुरु भयो हैन. अब हामी कहाँ त यहाँ नेपालमा त टाइमको कन्सेप्टै त्यस्तो छ नि हैन. कति बजे आउने भने चाहिँ 4-5 बजे आउने भन्छ नि. 60 minutes त खप्पा खाइदिन्छ हामी हैन. हैन 2-3 बजे भन्छौँ नि हैन सो we use now all of us use smartphones most of us where you can see it's 11:21 or 4:23 we still do this 4-5 बजे 3-4 बजे हैन so this is I mean I find it so we said okay so if a 5 o'clock meeting only everybody should be seated by 4:57 so that we can start at 5 and it's not that people trickle in at 5 so this अनि अर्को चाहिँ we because of how we are trained multitasking is a very big challenge and I think BIDMA that's what we said is that everybody has to multitask everybody has to have a contribution so we have a not-for-profit called Nepal Economic Forum for those some of you might have attended our events we come out with publications र त्यहाँ चाहिँ भोलिन्टियर गर्नै पर्छ हैन अब नलेख्ने मान्छेले नि रिसर्च लेख्ने गर्नै पर्छ रिसर्च लेख्नै पर्छ ब्लग लेख्नै पर्छ प्रेजेन्टेसन गर्नै पर्छ सो हाउ डु यु पुश पिपल बियोन्ड देयर कम्फर्ट जोन्स And so that's something that we have been able to do and to say that how do you multitask because हाम्रो त के हुन्छ नि घरबाटै सुरु हुँदैन नि मल्टिटास्किङ त हैन स्पेशली छोरा मान्छे हो भने त घरमा त धेरै कामै केही गर्नु पर्दैन नि हैन पानी खाए त्यही राखे ग्लास पनि हामी सिङ्कसम्म लाँदैनौँ हैन I think the newer generation may be different, but at least in my generation, I see people, खाना खाए त्यही थाल त्यही छोडिदिन्छ हैन किचन सिङ्कसँग राख्दैन लन्ड्री कहिले गर्नु पर्दैन आयरनिङ कहिले गर्नु पर्दैन हैन सो घरमा त women are always good at multitasking because at home or outside at work they are doing it but and our workforce is predominantly men. So teaching men to multitask is a big challenge. And we said, okay, we have to do that. And so you have to take different roles at different point of times. And since हाम्रो hierarchy नभएको हुनाले so कहिलेकाहीँ म reporter भएर बसिरहेको हुन्छु हैन प्रोग्राममा हैन कहिलेकाहीँ so maybe an intern may be running that program. So we just cut that hierarchy and we bring in that multitasking concept. And that has worked. And the key is about, again, thinking positive. So the advice is that अब म पहिला मेरो पुरानो जबमा हुँदाखेरि बिहानै सबैजना आउँथ्यो न्युजपेपर पढ्थ्यो अब न्युजपेपरको पेज 1 2 3 पढिसकेर कसको दिमाग पोजिटिभ हुन्छ नि हैन And newspapers are supposed to sell, negativity sells. And so Nepal, if you see, and त्यही चिज अनलाइनमा त्यही नेगेटिभ न्युज हेरिरहेछ बिहान आएर त्यही नेगेटिभ न्युज न्युजपेपरमा हेरिरहेछ टेलिभिजनमा त्यही रेडियोमा सुन्ने भनेपछि it's very difficult to bring in that positivity. And so we said, okay, how do we make more positive so people can have different discussions that bring in positive energy. And so one of the key things we talk about for positivity and we encourage everybody at BID is to learn cooking. And especially for men, it's a challenge. So cooking is a very positive exercise. So cook गर्दाखेरि जहिले नि दिमागमा कहिले नेगेटिभ आउँदैन नि अब धेरै धेरै गर्नु पर्यो भने गाह्रो हुन्छ तर गर्नु पर्यो जहिले नि मिठो बनाऊ मिठो गरौँ हैन अनि always and that's how your brain functions. So we use different tools to bring in that sense of positivity. र अर्को चाहिँ सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन हैन बीचमा चाहिँ हामीले कुरा गर्ने भनेको चाहिँ सेल्फ डिसिप्लिनको कुरा हो बिकज जति नै जे गरे पनि हैन अब भन्न न नेपालमा हामी भएका 2-3 वटा ट्राफिक लाइटहरु जति पनि चल्छन् नि त्यहाँ रेड लाइट भनेको त स्टप गर्नलाई हो नि बट नेपालमा त्यो ल नै हैन के जस्ट अ सजेसन टु स्टप के हैन त थाहा छ नि हैन सो त्यो त भित्रबाट आउनु पर्यो नि मैले रेड लाइट देखेछु छु मैले चाहिँ लाइन काट्नु हुन्न भनेर त हैन सो सो मेनी अदर रुल्स हैन दैट वी इन लाइफ वी आर सपोज्ड टु फलो वी डोन्ट एन्ड त्यो चाहिँ अब मैले पनि हेरिसके त्यो अटेन्डेन्सको नि हेरिसके अब सोल्टी होटलमा हामीले चाहिँ इनिशियली त्यो पञ्चिङ कार्डहरु राख्दाखेरि कसले आएर कसैको पञ्च गर्दिने बायोमेट्रिक्स गर्दाखेरि मान्छेले त्यो फेभिकलले त्यो के भन्छ फिंगरप्रिन्ट चाहिँ ट्राई गर्ने सो एभ्रीबडी क्यान डु अल सो रुल तोड्ने मान्छेले हुन्छ जहिले पनि तोड्न खोज्छन् हुँदाखेरि हाउ वी ब्रिङ इन सेल्फ दिस सो इफ पीपल वान्ट टु कम लेट इट्स फाइन हैन पीपल वान्ट टु गो अर्ली इट्स फाइन बट द की थिङ इज दैट हाउ डु यु इन्कल्केट दैट सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन एन्ड आई थिंक दैट गोज अ लङ वे इन टर्म्स अफ ब्रिङिङ आवर प्रोडक्टिभिटी त्यो हाम्रो त यहाँ के छ भने 9 बजी मान्छे आउनु पर्ने 4 बजी 5 बजी जानु पर्ने त्यो किसिमको बाट चाहिँ इट नेभर रियली इन्कल्केट्स बिकज हाम्रो माइन्डसेटै अर्को छ नि जस्तो अब यहाँ म डेभलपमेन्ट अर्गनाइजेसन्समा यसरी मलाई बोलाउँदाखेरि कुरा गर्दाखेरि भन्छु नि वेन दे गेट एन्ड यो तपाईहरुले याद गर्नुहोस् हैन यो नेपाल बन्द हुन लाग्यो काठमाडौँमा बन्द हुन लाग्यो चाहिँ फर्स्ट एसएमएसहरु न्यूज मेसेज कहाँबाट आउँछ डेभलपमेन्ट अर्गनाइजेसनबाट आउँछ ब्याङ्क्सबाट आउँछ कि एकदमै गुड जब होल्डर्सबाट भोलि त बन्द छ के दे आर सो ह्यापी So the culture shows that we are always trying to beat rules than trying to be productive and entrepreneurial. Because the whole thing is that we come from a very rent-seeking society. And our brains are rent-seek rather than to foster entrepreneurship. We just like unleashing Nepal but that's the core of what we talk about in terms of unleashing Nepal, is that how we have been rent-seeking and how we can look into flourishing of entrepreneurship. So yeah, so I think I'll just again maybe take a little break. Questions, thoughts, comments, agreements, disagreements, anything? Yeah, please. Mike.
Thank you. So my question is, you mentioned about multitasking in your company, right? And you're trying to encourage that culture. So, but multitasking might not always be the right option, because if you're trying to look into many things at one time, at one go, you might lose your focus, and you have very limited time and resource. So how do you balance it out of being like single-minded focus and multitasking without being overwhelmed?
My sort of thought on this one is that when we are talking about multitasking, it's not about doing 5 things at the same time, but basically you have this 80-20 mindset where 80% of the time you're of course focused on your main issue, but then on 20% of the time you also do other things, because just because you're doing a presentation, it's can't be that you can't move out and take the the glass of water you're drinking to the pantry, so it's also multitasking is not about work tasking. Also, it's about you're working on a certain assignment, and then something else is being discussed, to be able to switch off from one and to get into the other and to be able to contribute. But definitely it's not about, when we are talking about multitasking, we are doing 5 things simultaneously at the same time, but it's about being able to say that I'm going to do 80-20 or 70-30, depending on how much you are. Also, it depends on about whether you're a right-brain person or a left-brain person, because if you're a left-brain person, it's more difficult to multitask than right-brain people, that's what research shows. So when you're talking about multitasking, it's being able to be aware of other things that are also happening and be able to contribute. जस्तो घरमै हुन्छ नि, इट बिगिन्स विथ स्मल थिङ्स के घरमै अब म होमवर्क गरिरहेको छु भन्छ नि, होमवर्क गरिरहेको छु भनेपछि त्यो स्कुलमा हुँदाखेरि नै यु कान्ट डु एनिथिङ एल्स होमवर्क गरिरहेको बेलामा म पढिरहेको छु होइन, इट बिगिन्स विथ द्याट थिङ नि, बट पढिरहेको होमवर्क गरिरहेको बेलामा पनि होइन आफ्नो चिया छ भने लिन आउन त्यो त अरू ढोका एउटा खोल्दिन त यु क्यान डु द्याट नि होइन. But it begins with these things. But for me, what has really helped me, and if I look back again, reflect on my own personal journey, during my, of course, Solti Group, there were multiple companies, multiple businesses. So like if your board meeting was happening, you just attended, say, Sipradiko board meeting, Sokyo, you're talking about Excel and chassis and all that, and suddenly there's Amravati, say, ticket presentation, and you have to switch off from, talking about vehicles to talking about, sort of ticketing, and then suddenly goes into pharmaceuticals, and suddenly goes into hotels. So it's about training our brain to be able to absorb and digest different things rather than staying in a sort of being able to operate in a silo. So that's where my sort of the larger definition of multitasking is. Other questions? Please.
Good evening, sir. My name is Vijay Ranawat. I'm an entrepreneur. I am a share broker as well. I do also multitasking. My question is to when I was graduated, my mother said me to go and get a job. So our mentality is to get a job rather than being an entrepreneur. So that is because of 2 things I believe. One is it is very risky to go and invest, and second thing would be one that because of the lack of capital. But what you gonna say on this matter? That if we think in the same way, so we'll just creating the job and job.
I think as we were discussing earlier. you're looking for jobs, and I think it's gonna, if you're 20, 30 years back when I came in, if I would have said that I'll start on my own, it would have been, people would have really at home, everybody would have convinced that you can't do this. At least, now when you look back 25, 30 years, I mean, when I used to teach at Kathmandu University School of Management, Kusom MBA, say when my initial batches 10 years ago I used to teach, and I used to do a show of hands to say that how many of you guys after this would like to do your own business. This would be very small show of hands. But today, with the same class, if I would do show of hands, there are more people who want to do entrepreneurship. त्यो एउटा कल्चरले पनि हुन्छ के बुझ्नुपर्छ भने नेपालमा भनेको हामी रेन्ट सिकिङ माइन्डसेटवाला मान्छे हो क्या होइन जब भनेको जबको डेफिनेसनमा के भन्छ जागिर खाने भन्छ नि जागिर कहाँबाट आयो त होइन सो इन अनलिसिङ नेपाल आई टक अबाउट जागिर नि जागिर भनेको के हो भने पहिला ल्यान्ड ग्रान्ट्स पाउँथ्यो होइन फलानाले एउटा जग्गा पायो त्यही जग्गाबाट खाने हो नि होइन अहिले पनि अब सो मेनी पिपल डु द्याट सो वाइ यु बिकम अ पोलिटिसियन वाट डु डु अनि यताउता मिलायो ल एउटा जग्गा भएपछि त्यो सो रेन्ट सिकिङ भनेको हामी कहाँ पहिलादेखि नै आउने हो र त्यो अहिले इफ यु लुक एट होइन धेरै ठाउँमा के छ नि बहाल खाएर बस्ने हो नि होइन मान्छेहरू इट्स अ भेरी युनिक कल्चर नि 4वटा घर छ भने मेरो धेरै कजन्सहरूको पनि छन् 4वटा घर छ भने सबभन्दा थोत्रो घरमा आफू बस्छ 3टा अरू चाहिँ बालमा दिन्छ नि and that shows how our mindset of rent is so strong, which means that you want a job. त्यो जागिरे मनस आयो भने हैन सो त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ you want something stable. Risk taking is हामी risk taking मान्छे हैनौं हैन अब that's generally चाहिँ हैन त्यसकारण चाहिँ entrepreneurship भएन त्यसको चाहिँ अर्को चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ के लाग्छ भने त्यसको चाहिँ also सोसाइटीले को मान्छेलाई चाहिँ रेस्पेक्ट गर्छ त रिस्क लिएर फेल भएको मान्छेलाई त हामी रेस्पेक्ट गर्दै गर्दैन अनि रेस्टुरेन्ट त्यसको त रेस्टुरेन्ट बन्द भएको थियो भन्छ नि हामीले बिचारा हि ट्राइड भन्दै हामीले त्यो एन्टरप्रेन्योरशिप इकोसिस्टम मान्छेले रेस्पेक्ट गर्दैनौँ अर्को के छ भने काम गर्ने मान्छेलाई नि हामी रेस्पेक्ट गर्दैनौँ नि होइन when I did मेरो अर्थतन्त्र मेरो नेपाली किताब लन्च हुँदाखेरि म बाहिरतिर जाँदाखेरि मात्रै भने हाम्रो नेपाली साहित्यले के भन्छ होइन किसानको कुरा गर्ने बित्तिकै दुखी होइन वाट आर द वर्ड्स द्याट आर एसोसिएटेड विथ किसान बिहान 4 बजी उठ्नुपर्ने होइन द्याट इज अल सिन एज नेगेटिभ नि काम गर्ने पर्ने मान्छे त And entrepreneurship is a lot of work you have to do. You have to spend a lot of time. तर हाम्रो त यहाँ कसलाई भन्छ कसको लाइफ खतरा छ भन्छ हामीले लाइफ कसको यहाँ लाइफ छ भने चाहिँ 11 बजे ट्याक्क उठ्यो होइन टक्क रेन्ट लिनु पनि आफू जानेन अरू कसैलाई पठाइदिन्छ होइन टक्क चाहिँ होइन बेलुका अनि त्यहाँदेखि टट्ट बेलुका बसेपछि टक्क बस्यो होइन साथीभाइसँग होइन द्याट इज वाट लाइफ एभ्रिबडी वान्ट्स नि होइन so that is what and this is completely an antithesis of entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship भनेको त it's about बिहान उठेदेखि you look at successful entrepreneurs you look at they start very early they end very late त्यस्तो गर्नेलाई त नेपालमा त बेवकुफ भन्छ मलाई अहिले मेरो कजन्सहरू कहाँ अब यहाँ भोजोजहरूमा जाँदाखेरि के यो मेरोमा पनि के यस्तो बिहानदेखि बेलुका के खटिरह के होइन भन्छ नि द्याट्स द वर्ड होइन हाम्रो नेपाली शब्द होइन खटिरह भन्छ नि एज इफ आई एम डुइङ अ बिगेस्ट क्रिमिनल एक्ट होइन But you tell me which entrepreneur has been successful without khatera? So I think there are these. So it's very important. As my entrepreneurial journey, my journey around working with firms, organization, development organizations, त्यो सबैले चाहिँ के देखायो भने यो जुन हाम्रो सोचाइ जुन छ नि what is risk taking होइन what is entrepreneurship, what is a sort of a fixed job, what is rent seeking, त्यो डेफिनेसन्सले पनि मलाई चाहिँ मान्छेको इन्फ्लुएन्स हुन्छ र वरिपरि इन्फ्लुएन्स गरे नि त्यही हो नि अब कहाँ जागिर खाएर होइन यस्तो बिजनेस गर्ने जागिर खा भइहाल्यो नि भन्छ नि होइन इभन इफ यु सी नेपाली यहाँ राम्रो राम्रो फर्मको बिग बिजनेस हाउसेसहरूको चिल्ड्रेनहरू होइन देयर पेरेन्ट्स प्रेफर देम टु बी वर्किङ इन अ जब in the US or in Australia rather than coming back and giving them $1 million for them to start off. You see, I mean, you know friends around there. Well, I know many of them. हामी आउँछौँ म कहाँ कुरा गर्नु चाहिँ हेर्नुहोस् न बुवाले पैसा दिँदैन के भन्ने बस्ने होइन काम गर्ने होइन सो त्यो छ क्या सो इट गट टु डु विथ हाम्रो मलाई चाहिँ के लाग्छ नि गट टु डु विथ लट अफ आवर हाउ वी आर ब्रट अप हाम्रो थट प्रोसेस प्लस हाम्रो रिस्क टेकिङ हाम्रो के भन्छ we are not also taught to take risks नि हैन जहिले पनि हामीलाई नेगेटिभ हैन स्विमिङ जाने हो नि स्विमिङ गर्न डुब्छ राफ्टिङ गर्न डुब्छ त्यही हो नि एन्ड द्याट्स आई नेभर लर्न स्विमिङ होइन मेरो मेरो हजुरआमाले स्विमिङ गरेर डुब्छ होइन राफ्टिङ गर्ने नजाने कुनै रिस्की काम भयो भने के गर्ने हो भने होइन हाम्रो जहिले पनि नेगेटिभ ल यसमा लगानी गरौँ भने हुँदैन रिस्की छ पहिला कसैले पनि पोजिटिभली यसलाई ल ट्राई गरौँ भन्ने कुरा हुँदैन होइन तर अर्को अन वान साइड प्याराडक्स के पनि छ भने यहाँ सुपर रिस्क टेकरहरू पनि छ नि हाम्रो एक्सपेक्टेसन त के छ भने 1 लाख रुपियाँ आज लगानी गऱ्यो भने त भोलि बिहान उठ्दाखेरि 4-5 लाख हुनुपर्ने छ नि त त्यसले पनि त प्रब्लम गराएको छ यु आर अ स्टक ब्रोकर वी ran a portfolio management company that gave 18% to 22% returns and people are not happy people wanted 40% return अब मैले 40% return हो भने त कसिनो जाऊ के स्टकमा खेल्ने हैन ओके
Hi, my name is Anup. So, my question is, I could really relate with your multitasking. Like since last 5 years, I've been working in a couple of different ventures. And this month, there is always a guilt inside. Ki मैले एउटा मात्र काम गरेको भए काम पुगेछ के 2-3 काम गरे बेकारमा त्यस्तो एउटा गिल्ट छ कि अब कतिपय कन्ट्याक्समा त्यति बेला सुरु नगरेको होइन अब नेपालमा अब त्यो चाँडै नै हिट हुन्छ सो यु गट टु त्यो एउटा कुरा भन्ने मेन्टालिटी पनि छ एउटा त्यो क्वेसन सो हाउ टु गेट अवे विथ द्याट गिल्ट अर्को क्वेसन चाहिँ बिकज आई वर्क विथ दर्जन प्लस यङ पिपल होइन अनि त्यति बेला चाहिँ अब दिमागमा कस्तो छ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ अबको 5-10 वर्षमा चाहिँ कम्पनीलाई चाहिँ खत्रै कर्पोरेट स्ट्रक्चर दिने बवाल बनाउने भन्ने हुन्छ But at the same time, you work with these young people, so you can't even like implement your proper the corporate wala rules or something. And this is the balance karna garo ke कतिपय context ma so a few people might leave या हुन्छ नि या so त्यसको बारेमा पनि I would like to hear something from you. Thank you so much.
No, I think when it comes to multitasking is not easy, and it just keeps happening. And what I feel working in the area of leadership, and especially when I do doing coaching, and my thing is that the reflective exercise is very important. Okay? Just I keep writing. At what point of the time you don't want to be branded as an author? Okay? Because if you are branded as an author, you are seen as academic. When you email on Dr. Shakya, email on Thailand, I know there's something wrong with the brand, man, guys. Push back on your writing stuff, talking about your book, because your core is your management consulting. And so to reality checks are really because at times when you become too passionate about something, you keep moving around that. And multitasking, you have to always step back and say that where am I? Am I giving right, sort of distribution of time? And you can do it yourself. You can have feedback mechanism, 360 feedback mechanism or mechanisms त्यसरी चाहिँ गर्न सकिन्छ हैन मलाई चाहिँ त्यस्तो लाग्छ हैन I think the second question तपाईको के थियो sorry young generation okay young generation because yeah so I was so passionate about that thing I should have talked about that first I would say that's a reality we have to live with so there's a work I was associated with last year with a US firm US it's a very large firm my friend is in the very senior position in HR they recruit about 60,000 people a year for their 180 global offices and they get about 1.2 million applications but they have 10% of attrition by RASA. And what came out very clearly, they were using analytics to get data out. Very clearly, generation, nobody wants really fixed jobs. This is what we have to really adapt. And we are continuously thinking at Bead, how do we now adapt to this new world where people don't want fixed jobs, people don't want, with ILO, we a series run यो विषयमा हामी डिस्कसन्सहरु नेपालमा नि ल्याउन खोज्दैछौं future of work भनेर अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ अब so they want to do different things they have hobbies हैन म 4 घण्टा 5 घण्टा म काम गर्छु 3 घण्टा म गिटार बजाउँछु हैन मान्छेहरु I want to do this I want to travel हैन and so social security कसरी कभर गर्ने that's a bigger ILO perspective बाट त्यो इश्यू छ भने हाम्रो पर्सपेक्टिभ बाट प्रोडक्टिभिटी कसरी हेर्ने र प्लस अहिलेको मान्छेलाई त्यो जब सिक्युरिटी अब एटलिस्ट मेरो जेनेरेसनमा त जब सिक्युरिटी अहिले भने इट्स वाज भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट हैन अहिले त्यो छैन अब युएस मा पनि that's what people are complaining people you tell them oh you're not performing well okay thank you very much I'm moving out सक्यो के and to recruit one person all of us who are in business know how difficult it is to recruit people And so it's getting this retention challenge. What sort of programs you should have that will suit your business? That's something that you have to reflect on. At times it works very well with fellowship program, a robust apprenticeship program, and you can have different ways in managing this. But your reality चाहिँ हामी live गर्नै पर्छ, because अब अस्ति पनि एउटा यहाँ रिटेल चेनले हामीसँग कुरा गरिरहेको थियो, ठ्याक्क चाहिँ के भन्छ दुबईतिर मलेसियातिर ओपनिङ आउने बित्तिकै होल टिमै सखाप हुने, 15-20 जना एकैचोटि छोड्दिने हैन. So how are you going to really sort of recruit? So then we were telling them is that now you have to design a system by which you then start looking for some, even if it is front-end jobs, you look for more older, stable people, have supervisors you pay more, that who can live a 3-year contract rather than a 3-month contract. And त्यो किसिमको चाहिँ reinvent चाहिँ गरेर बस्नुपर्ने हुन्छ, because that's not going to change. And managing the new workforce is going to be one of the biggest challenges. If you look at मलाई next 10 years को सबभन्दा ठुलो challenge as a business भनेपछि म जहिले सबैलाई भन्छु, it's not about money. पैसा त जति नै हुन्छ. You private equity funds हरु अहिले if you have a right business यहाँ पैसाको त कमी छैन. अहिले like equity funds are after our lives to say business खोज्दियौ न राम्रो इन्भेस्ट गर्नलाई भन्छ. तर मान्छे पाउन चाहिँ गाह्रो छ के. That's where we feel. Yeah.
Hello. Sir, so this is like a follow-up question to the previous question. So you shed some light on the work culture of Nepal, which is very laid back, and the work productivity, which is not as high as it should be. So how do you sort of drive yourself or motivate yourself, because you are a part of this culture itself, and we sadly just have very few people who have that very strong value or ethics system bottom now. So first, the question is, how do you drive yourself in this culture? Second is, do you see that there is a lot of potential with the youngsters around, and how do you spread that information to them? People go outside abroad, very smart, talented people. So, like, how do you go about it?
I think, for me, as I was talking about, we have had now more than 100 people go through different programs as team and moved out, and who come for internship, fellowship program. We still in touch. We had a big alumni event of 10 years, Asti October ma. We keep talking. And I think the feedback I get, Asti ko din matrai we are having again, we go through reviews. Asti Friday matrai we are review ko euta kura गरिरहेको थियो. One of our former B is going to come and back and review as a consultant. And we love doing all that. And त्यसमा के देख्यो भने त्यो awareness हो, self-discipline हो, productivity भनेको, and you cannot teach. Yeah? अब यहाँ त के छ भने अब त्यो सिंहदरबारतिर गयो भने त्यो those who have gone त्यो घाँस काट्न बसिरहेको हुन्छ नि, त्यो घाँस काट्न भनेको त्यसै पनि त अप्ठ्यारो काम हो नि हैन, त्यो यसो गरेर बस्नुपर्छ. तर ठग्नलाई त्यो अप्ठ्यारो पोजिसनमै बस्छ के, घाँस काटेर छिटो काटेर अरू काम गर्न सक्छ नि. तर हाम्रो त्यो जुन एउटा माइन्डसेटै के छ भने, how do we lessen productivity? And also the productivity issue is also about the pricing. And I think one of the biggest challenges in the upcoming dialogues we're going to run is on productivity. अब अस्ति one of the leading multinational banks को यस्तै leadership program I was invited to speak, and I was sharing with them that यहाँको त्यो ब्याङ्कको balance sheet would be equivalent to a branch in India. एउटा ब्रान्चको balance sheet र यहाँको ब्याङ्कको, तर त्यहाँको ब्रान्च म्यानेजरको बल्ल उसले Ford Fiesta एउटा चढ्न पायो भने हैन, which is about 4 लाख IC in Nepal, in India 4-5 लाख दङ्ग पर्छ. यहाँ त ब्याङ्कमा खुट्टा टेकेको हुँदैन, MBA भएपछि त Ford EcoSportै चाहियो के. But for what? What productivity? So that's also our expectation versus reality. And त्यसमा चाहिँ I do blame quite a bit of our development agencies. And because 1990 पछि जति पनि development agencies आयो हैन, अब they pay so much, and compared to the private sector, and it's created a big, huge issue. Like if you want to do all our work on translation, all our work on your communication, websites, all happens outside Nepal. It's cheaper to hire firms outside Nepal than to hire in Nepal, because Nepal firms are very expensive. हैन, अब मैले हाम्रो वेबसाइट बनाउनु पर्छ भने यहाँको एउटा फर्मसँग कुरा गरेको थिएँ, यसो गर्नुहोस् न तपाईँ 2 हप्तापछि म कहाँ आउनुहोस् न. That is what he told me. I said, what? And I'm giving you a job, man. You come to my office. And he said, okay, India, we've got now done the whole thing. We've got it done at what, 1/3 the price that they were quoting. हैन फोनमा अलिक हामी चाहिँ महँगो छौं फेरि फोनमा नै हैन that's a sort of the जुन attitude जुन छ नि त्यो attitude I think it's an internal attitudinal issue also हामी कहाँ role modelsहरुको एकदम कमी छ हैन all the people we see in the newspapers हैन हामी कहाँ त बिचमा when we get some people come to talk to us and the first thing we do is that we look for them on internet धेरै चर्चामा बसेको मान्छेको हामी काम गर्दैनौं के हैन यहाँ मान्छेको त के छ भने ब्याङ्कको सीईओ को काम के हो ब्याङ्कमा प्रफिटेबिलिटी डेलिभर गर्नु हो के हैन तर के छ त्यो सीईओ ले कुन कुकुर दौराइरहेछ कुन दैट इज बिकम बिग हैन बट व्हाट इज द ऑब्जेक्टिभ यु एन्ड ऑल द ब्याङ्कर्स हु आर डेलिभरिङ 25% year on year प्रफिटेबिलिटी ग्रोथ उनीहरुको कुरै छैन सो द सोसाइटीले पनि त्यो प्रोडक्टिभिटीलाई हामीले वी डोन्ट गिभ recognition and अहिले स्टार्टअपकै कुरा गर्ने हो भने अहिले एकदमै you see so many papers and you know online sites मा people start talking 9 वर्ष भइसक्यो स्टार्टअपमै छ के अनि मैले न अस्ति हामी we ran the survey I said when are you actually going to become a company man you can't be a startup for 9 years as a ex agency सँग पैसा लियो हैन यो grantepreneur भन्छ के डोनरप्रेन्योर एउटा डोनर सँग पैसा लियो अर्को डोनर सँग पैसा लियो हैन सो हाम्रो कस्तो नि प्रोडक्टिभिटीलाई हामीले चाहिँ we really did not sort of think it's important and that will only come through awareness and I think it also has to be seen that how it's driven from the top and also how do you create the bottoms up to culture and if you see many of the successful companies I don't want to name them in Nepal all of you know some of the top 10 successful companies in the past 10 years को चाहिँ हेर्ने हो नि सबै जनाको चाहिँ हेर्ने हो नि you'll find a very good interesting CEO who is leading from the front at the top and you'll see an amazing bunch of people you go to their outlets you go to their factory you go to their establishment you can see the culture immunity and then vis-a-vis compare that with where you have low levels of productivity low levels of issues so I personally believe it's something that has to be awareness inculcated. It has to be an internally driven issue. It cannot be an external. And now, but I mean, training certificates are training and certificate message. But then, how do you internally get this thing done? So, what was the second question? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. I think we are halfway through, so we have 55 minutes to go. Yeah.
Hi, you talked about encouraging openness and putting your employees outside the comfort zone before. So, could you please give us some good practices that your organization follow regarding the same?
I think openness is a very difficult, I mean, it's a broad concept. But I think openness, it begins small things. The other day I was talking to one of our fellows and I was asking her is that, what is it that you find different at Beat? And she had a very interesting thing to share. And she said that it begins with sharing food. Okay? So कसैले के ल्यायो भने 3टा लड्डु ल्यायो भने त्यो 20 जना टुक्रा गरेर खान्छ के हैन अब त्यो सबैजनाले त्यो इट बिगिन्स त्यो शेयर गर्न थाल्यो नि बिकज हामी कहाँ त भन्न कल्चरली जुठो खानु सक्ने मान्छेहरु त कमै छन् नि हैन culturally there are a lot of people I've seen before when I was smoke and or churo khachi there are people who are very reluctant to so त्यो culture ma it begins with small things or काम share गर्ने कसले चाहिँ के गरिरहेछ and आउने I've been in organization where मान्छेले आफ्नो काम दराज भित्र लक गर्छ आफ्नो colleagues लाई भन्दैन त्यस्तोबाट to come in and say that कसले के गर्दैछ to be very open and we've created an open office I mean you can be literally on Facebook the whole day and of course people are not but then you create an environment where you have high speed internet you can just be downloading movies or watching things on internet and you can be doing that with your headphone in but then how do you make people accountable त्यो openness पाए भने त्यो openness को चाहिँ आफूले त्यसलाई रेस्पोन्ड गर्ने पनि त्यो मान्छेमा चाहिँ क्षमता पनि बिल्ड हुँदै जान्छ इनिशियली गाह्रो हुन्छ and openness भन्दाखेरि a lot of things I mean you are working in we have a predominant woman dominated organization at this point of time. The other day we had a very interesting presentation from an intern who said that initially I didn't know how to handle. How do you work with? I mean, it's an open office. You have got predominantly women. How do you come? And as a man who's been trained in a certain way, how do you come and work? So then you start talking about then what is it that. What are the basic ethical values around that openness? And it can be everybody's definition around it. To absorb गर्न थाल्यो भने चाहिँ त्यो वर्कमा आउने कल्चरमा आउने open around. We have instances where people have got into the interview clear भइसकेपछि ल तपाईको त क्याबिन त हुँदैन स्पेशली फाइनान्समा काम गर्ने मान्छेहरु तपाईको त क्याबिनहरु केही पनि हुँदैन यहाँ सबै बसेर काम गर्नुपर्छ म पनि यही बसेर काम गर्छु भन्दाखेरि सर त्यसो त हुँदैन कतिजनालाई डेजिग्नेसन चाहिने so it also shows how receptive you are to these concepts and so if you can create an environment where people become receptive and also not to say that हामी त यस्तै हो यो त चेन्ज गर्दैनौ हैन जस्तो अब we are in our new office को चाहिँ डिजाइनमा हामी एकदम सोचिरहेछौँ अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ के छ भने ओपन अफिस हुँदाखेरि वान अफ द बिगेस्ट च्यालेन्जेस चाहिँ मान्छेहरुको पर्सनल कल आयो भने चाहिँ कसरी ह्यान्डल गर्ने हैन यु हेभ टु गो आउट समवेयर सो यु एक्चुअली नीड अ लिटल कल place to take calls so where does your personal space begin where does your professional space and त्यस्तो कुराहरु पनि challenges हुँदा रहेछ तर त्यो चाहिँ continuously आफैले बुझ्दै पनि गर्ने आफैले चाहिँ हेर्दै पनि गर्ने it's a continuous process हैन अब rules हरु भनेको नि you have to continuously review गरिरहने त्यो चाहिँ हुनुपर्छ and that's what I think has worked for us and we continue to think I mean we bring in people again we travel we say यो त यस्तो गरे नि हुने रहेछ यस्तो गरे नि हुने रहेछ भन्यो अनि त्यसरी त्यसमा इम्प्रुभ गर्दै गयो Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
My name is Susma Paita. मैले चाहिँ खासमा हजुरले अहिले प्रोडक्टिभिटीको कुरा गरिरहनु भयो हैन अनि हजुरले यत्रो वर्ष काम गर्दाखेरि प्रोडक्टिभिटी बढाउने फ्याक्टरहरुमा चाहिँ कस्तो रिसर्च गर्नुभएको छ र अनि त्यो प्रोडक्टिभिटी बढाउनको लागि आफ्नो इम्प्लोयरहरुलाई कस्तो काउन्सिलिङ कस्तो फिडब्याक दिएर उनीहरुको प्रोडक्टिभिटी बढाउनु भएको छ कि भएको छैन त्यो अनि त्यस्तो फ्याक्टरहरुको बारेमा चाहिँ भन्नु
Very good question. Productivity को कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ एउटा त के छ भने हामी नेपालमा प्रोडक्टिभिटी बुझाउन नि गाह्रो छ के नेपालीमा प्रोडक्टिभिटीलाई के भन्छ that's the biggest challenge के there's no exact word to talk about productivity I don't know anybody हैन अब अलिकति हामी त्यो अलिक उत्पादकत्व भन्छौं हैन जिब्रो चार चोटी लड पडिन्छ भन्दाखेरि हैन so it's not a common word we think of तर productivity भन्नाले चाहिँ अब प्रति व्यक्तिको हैन there is a way in which त्यो हामीले चाहिँ त्यो बोर्डर चाहिँ डिफाइन गर्नुपर्छ हैन प्रोडक्टिभिटीको नाममा भनौं न पहिला त अब हैन स्लेभरी पनि ल्याउनु भएन हैन बार्बरिक प्र्याक्टिसेस पनि ल्याउनु भएन हुँदाखेरि कहाँसम्म प्रोडक्टिभिटी र मैले देख्दाखेरि चाहिँ मेरो पर्सनल एक्सपिरियन्समा मेरो आफ्नो र अफिसमा हामीले शेयर गर्ने भने चाहिँ टाइम म्यानेजमेन्टले चाहिँ प्रोडक्टिभिटीलाई धेरै एड गर्छ सो इफ and that's where I always tell people म आफै पनि त्यही जर्नीमा हुन्छु म के गर्छु त हैन अब अनि अलिकति राम्रोसँग प्लान गर्यो हैन प्लान गर्यो भने हैन सो भनौं न आजकै म चाहिँ 15 मिनेट अगाडि नआएको भए म यस्तो किसिमको सेटअप हुन्छ भने थाहा थिएन हैन म त यहाँ मजासँग तल गफ गर्छु भनेर आएको थिएँ हैन हुँदाखेरि त्यो लर्निङ हुन्छ नि सो I had to adapt myself I had 15 minutes to rethink how am I going to spend the next 2 hours with you so हुँदाखेरि त्यो अलिकति प्लानिङ र त्यो टाइम म्यानेजमेन्ट बिकज हामीले आफ्नो बिहानदेखि बेलुकासम्म हामीले हेर्ने हो भने त अफिसमा त हामी 1/3 टाइम मात्र बस्छौं नि जनरली 24 घण्टामा 8 घण्टा मात्र बस्छौं नि 16 घण्टा त हामीसँग छ नि So I talked about my personal journey, I talked about the journey of Beed, and I think talking about Nepal's journey and we talked about opportunities that are there, we'll talk a bit about equity and other stuff, is that I think what I have tried to do personally, and I think that's my personal belief, and that's why I started Beed and Nepal Economic Forum, and I do a lot of writing, selling Nepal, and I don't mind for all the criticism I receive to say that it's it's too much of an oversell. I don't mind, but I think it's about time is about recalibrating your thought process. I'll also touch upon a bit about what happened in this last conference I was in. So one is that I've tried to see is that let's look at Nepal in terms of where it is. We are in between India and China, which will be the number 1, number 2 in terms of GDP in 2040. So we are not amidst poor neighbors, we are going to be with the two richest, fast-growing countries. So if you are not going to get it right, then there's something wrong with us. Okay. And when we talk about Nepal, हामी जहिले पनि नेपाललाई चाहिँ सानो देश, अस्ति पनि Twitterमा those who follow me, we had a big argument about impoverished Nepal. When people write, I hate it. I feel that we are not an impoverished country. There are many more countries that are impoverished than us. We don't have to put that tag. So when we look at it, Nepal is a country of 30 million people, which is like Australia and 22 million, or Canada and 35 million. So we are not a small country. 50% of our population is under 25, and I love this. I think when they asked me to come and speak today, I said I was more than willing to do this because I love interacting with this sort of audience, which is difficult in Nepal to get. So 50% of our population is under 25, 70% is under 35. So that's our demographics, and 50% women. So there's a tremendous potential. Only challenge we have is that 6% of our population is above 65. Out of that, 2% is men. So the problem is that 2% of men above 65 actually run the 98% of Nepal. That has been the problem, and that's where the recalibration has to happen. And that's where the potential will be unleashed. So that's where all we have to work on. Also, the thought process of being landlocked. I think we've always been, पृथ्वीनारायण शाहदेखिको चाहिँ नि के अरे दुई ढुङ्गा बीचको तरुल जहिले नि हामीलाई चाहिँ ल्यान्डलक हुनु हो नि त दुखी हुनु भनेर सिकाएको छ नि अब श्रीलङ्कामा गयो भने दे हेभ द प्रब्लम दे आर सी लक्ड भन्छ के हैन so it's always problem देखाउने हो नि जसरी हुन्छ so but rather than being landlocked we have been land linked and if you look at historically till about the 16th century even about the 17th century when India and China were contributed 70% of the global GDP. Nepal was the entrepot and the connecting link for these two countries. And there is another opportunity for Nepal to be the connecting link. And that is something we see, and especially in some of these big conferences that happened recently, that's the narrative I continuously sell, is to say that Nepal is a country that is going to come back as a linking country between India and China. So again, looking at, so in terms of poverty, because we are seen as income-wise we are poor, but asset-wise we are not poor. And 86% of Nepalese own land. They are looked down upon. You go to Europe, what 40-50% live in land owned. The people are rent ma bassa ani yaha ta afno ghar hunai parne haina afno jaga hunai parne haina so but then त्यो जग्गाले गर्दाखेरि नै मान्छेहरुको इन्कममा कुनै ध्यानै गएन नि कसैलाई छोरीलाई पढाउँछ के गर्यो एक टुक्रा जग्गा बेच्यो हैन मेडिकल इमर्जेन्सी भयो एक टुक्रा जग्गा बेच्यो अलिकति पैसा भयो के गर्यो जग्गा किन्यो हैन मेरो त 6 ठाउँमा जग्गा छ भन्छ हैन फुर्ती साथ भन्छ नि मान्छे मेरो यहाँ दुई रोप्नी छ यहाँ छ इटरीमा नि पुरा अहिले सस्तो भएको छ मैले यहाँ किनेछु भन्छ नि हैन आई डोन्ट नो व्हाट पीपल आर गोइङ टु माथि लगेर चाउमिन बनाएर खाने हो थाहा छैन है तर आई डोन्ट नो व्हाई पीपल नीड सो मच अफ ल्यान्ड हैन त्यसले गर्दा इन्कममा फोकस भएन and because of this whole mindset the income on asset is very poor हैन US तिर गयो भने it's about 10% Europe is about 5-6% India मा 5-6% Europe मा about 7-8% होला नेपालमा आयो भने हैन 10 करोडको घर छ भने कति पाउँछ 10 लाख पनि बाल पाउँदैन वर्ष भने 1% पनि छैन because of the fact that nobody is interested in income because everybody is looking for rent so that's there in terms of again the potential I mean we are next to India's most populous states so 350 million which is the size of United States and if you take Bangladesh it's about 500 million people so we are about 2 hours flying distance 10 hours road distance ma झन् हामी 500 million people चाहिँ नेपालको borderबाट cover गर्छौं so that can only be a potential now how we get it right and companies who have been able to get it right are doing so so that's what we see we talk about our potential ma agi क्रिज पसे भन्यो हैन that's what I use in अर्थतन्त्रमा हैन I call it English मा चाहिँ hats and eye भन्छु hydropower agriculture tourism services र infrastructure हैन यो पाँचवटा लाई चाहिँ हेर्ने हो तर मलाई चाहिँ के लाग्छ भने हाम्रो सबभन्दा ठुलो एसेट भनेको चाहिँ हाम्रो स्माइल हो के हैन and I always have written a lot about it brand muskan हैन brand smile because हैन अब त्यो कहिलेकाहीँ त्यो धरहराको अगाडि त्यो जे वकर्सहरुलाई पक्रिनलाई राख्छ नि हेरेछ त्यो people who jay walk the zebra crossing बाट नगइकन माथि नगइकन हिँड्नेहरुलाई पुलिसले पक्रेर यसो घेरा बनाएर राख्छ नि होइन उहाँहरू पनि त्यो 2-3 घन्टा राख्छ उहाँहरू मुसु हाँसिरहेको हुन्छन् क्या होइन दे आर नट इट्स अ भेरी इन्ट्रेस्टिङ एक्सपिरियन्स होइन यो यहाँ अघि पनि म हेरिरहेको थिएँ एउटा माइक्रो बसलाई पुलिसले चलान काटिरहेको थियो त्यो ड्राइभर हाँसिरहेको थियो क्या अरू ठाउँमा आएको थियो क्या झगडा सो इट्स अ स्माइल कम्स टु अस एन्ड इफ यु एन्ड द रिजल्ट इज द्याट अहिले युरोपमा हेऱ्यो युएसमा हेऱ्यो अस्ट्रेलियामा हेऱ्यो भने मोस्ट अफ द रेस्टुरेन्ट बिजनेस होटल बिजनेसेसहरूमा lots of Nepalis are going on. I mean, अस्ति भर्खर मैले जीवा लामिछानेजीलाई भेटेको थिएँ उहाँले अब जर्मनीमा about 35 होटल्स चलाउनु हुँदैछ उहाँको पार्टनरले मोस्ट अफ देम आर रन by नेपाली म्यानेजर्स and owned by Nepalis, run by Nepalis. Amazing. I mean, a lot of Nepalis are doing some amazing things around that. You know, Jackson Heights ma gyo भने अहिले 18-20 वटा होटल रेस्टुरेन्ट्सहरु छ न्युयोर्कमा प्राय मोस्ट अफ देम आर नेपाली रन अगेन त्यहाँ हाम्रो त्यो चाहिँ आउँछ त्यो स्माइलको र अब फ्युचरमा आउने पोटेन्शियलमा केयर गिभिङ बिजनेस भयो हस्पिटालिटी सर्भिस बिजनेसमा एन्ड एज टुरिज्म वुड मुभ इन्टु experiences rather than product, that's where we see a tremendous potential around it. Also, I think what has changed, it's been a very difficult journey. I've always been a big believer of a decentralized Nepal. I'm not sure अहिलेको मोडल चाहिँ ठिक होला कि होइन थाहा छैन तर यो फेडरल नेपालबाट चाहिँ हामीले अहिले धेरै स्टडिजहरू पनि गरिरहेछौँ हामीले काम पनि हेरिरहेछौँ यो काठमाडौँ बाहिरमा जुन अहिले चाहिँ लट अफ इकोनोमिक एक्टिभिटिजहरू हुन थाल्यो त्यसमा चाहिँ धेरै पोटेन्सियल छ र अब जुन चाहिँ द्वन्द्वकाल र त्योभन्दा अघि पछि चाहिँ त्यो काठमाडौँमा एकदम म्यासिभ माइग्रेसन भएको त्यो कम हुनेवाला छ मैले अस्ति भने थियो गङ्गोबुमा जाँदाखेरि गङ्गोबुको एउटा होटलवाला भने थियो अब तपाईँ यो होटल बेच्नुहोस् किनभने पोखरा र लुम्बिनीमा स्पेसली लुम्बिनीको एयरपोर्ट आयो भने त लो कस्ट क्यारियर्सहरूले एयर अरेबिया जस्तोले दुबई कतारतिर हुन्छ नि यो माइग्रेसन लेबर माइग्रेसन त त्यहाँबाट हुन थाल्छ त्यो काठमाडौँमा आएर गङ्गौमा होटलमा बसेर त्रिभुवन इन्टरनेसनलबाट जाने मान्छेहरूको चाहिँ कम हुन्छ होइन सो इट्स अबाउट हाउ यु लुक एट दिज फेडरल नेपालको पर्सपेक्टिभ एन्ड द्याट्स वेयर वी कन्टिन्युसली इन्भेस्ट आवर टाइम एनर्जी लुकिङ एट द्याट सो या सो आई थिङ्क नेपालको चाहिँ ओन्ली च्यालेन्ज चाहिँ हामीले अब हेर्ने हो भने अघि अपर्च्युनिटीको कुरा गरेर च्यालेन्ज हेर्ने हो भने इट्स भेरी क्लियर होइन 2030सम्ममा नेपाललाई चाहिँ हामी यसरी नै ग्रो गर्ने हो भने हामीलाई अबाउट $120 बिलियन जतिको चाहिँ हामीलाई इन्भेस्टमेन्ट चाहिन्छ होइन एभ्री इयर 10 बिलियनको चाहिँ चाहिन्छ हाम्रो क्यापिटल फर्मेसन भनेको 2 बिलियन पनि छैन भनेपछि 8 बिलियन चाहिँ हामीलाई फरेन इन्भेस्टमेन्ट चाहिन्छ अब त्यो फरेन इन्भेस्टमेन्ट चाहिँ आएन भने चाहिँ हाम्रो जुन यो ग्रोथ छ त्यसमा चाहिँ च्यालेन्ज हुन्छ सो द्याट्स गोइङ टु बी द बिगेस्ट च्यालेन्ज होइन त्यो फरेन इन्भेस्टमेन्ट भनेको इट्स नट ओन्ली द मनी पार्ट अफ इट बट वाट इट कम्स होइन जस्तो अब वी हेभ ट्रिमेन्डस डेट क्यापेसिटिज वी डोन्ट हेभ इक्विटी क्यापेसिटिज होइन अब प्राइभेट इक्विटी स्ट्रक्चर्सहरू कसरी गर्ने होइन त्यो प्राइभेट इक्विटी लार्ज प्राइभेट इक्विटिजहरूलाई कसरी एट्र्याक्ट गर्ने त्यो चाहिँ सबभन्दा ठुलो चाहिँ च्यालेन्ज देख्छु र त्यो च्यालेन्जमा चाहिँ the way I look at it is that it's not that people don't know. Famous saying, Sunny, it's very easy to wake up a person who is sleeping, but very difficult to wake up a person who is pretending to sleep. सुतेको जस्तो मान्छेलाई चाहिँ उठाउन एकदम गाह्रो छ कि सुतिरहेकोलाई त घुटुको उठिहाल्छ अब यहाँ थाहा नभएको नि होइन सो द्याट इज इफ यु लुक एट अमङ अल द च्यालेन्जेस द्याट आर देयर यो फरेन इन्भेस्टमेन्ट ल्याउनमा चाहिँ ठुलो जुन च्यालेन्ज छ थाहा नभएको नि होइन देयर इज इनफ फरेन इन्भेस्टमेन्ट अभाइलेबल अल्सो वेन आई वाज मोडरेटिङ द प्यानल एट द इन्भेस्टमेन्ट समिट यसपालि एउटा ग्लोबल इन्सुरेन्स कम्पनीको चाहिँ एउटा इन्भेस्टमेन्ट हेड आउनु भएको थियो अनि उहाँसँग सोधेको थिएँ अनि इफ देयर इज राइट इन्भाइरोमेन्ट वुड यु इन्भेस्ट इन नेपाल शी सेड आई मिन वी हेभ बिन अलरेडी वी इन्भेस्टेड अबाउट $750 बिलियन अराउन्ड द वर्ल्ड इन 80 countries when putting in $50-60 billion over the next 5-6 years should not be an issue for us. So it's not again money को issue होइन कि तर अब त्यसलाई त्यो सोच चाहियो नि होइन त्यो यहाँ त कस्तो छ भने मोदीले भाषण दिएर 100 करोड दिन्छु भन्दा नि हामी दङ्ग पर्ने दरबारमा 1 रोप्ने जग्गा नै आउँदैन 100 करोडमा होइन होइन हाम्रो सोच त अगेन इट गोज ब्याक टु पेइङ अफ विथ कन्सल्टेन्ट्स एन्ड अल द्याट आवर माइन्ड्स आर येट टु थिङ्क बिग एन्ड सो अगेन द्याट्स अ च्यालेन्ज अल्सो इन टर्म्स अफ नट बिङ एबल टु थिङ्क बट द अपर्च्युनिटी इज द्याट इफ यु क्यान रिक्यालिब्रेट युर थिङ्किङ देन नेपाल इज फुल अफ पोटेन्सियल. So maybe I'll take a few more last questions before we close. I think we have about 15 more minutes.
Hello. यो सोसाइटीको ट्रान्सफर्मेसनको क्वेसनबाट म चाहिँ सर म सिमिलर फिल्डमै भएको हिसाबले फाइनेन्सको उसमा जान्छु एफडिआईको कुरा आयो अघि अनि इन्भेस्टमेन्ट समिट त्यसको प्यानलिस्ट पनि हुनुहुन्थ्यो हजुर अनि त्यसमा अब गभर्मेन्टले त्यति बेला फिटालाई चाहिँ गेम चेन्जर भनेर एक्सप्लेन गर्यो, उनीहरूले एडभर्टिजमेन्ट त्यसरी नै गर्यो। त्यो फिटा हेर्दै गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यसले चाहिँ बिग इन्भेस्टमेन्टलाई अलिकति सपोर्ट गरे पनि एसएमइजहरूलाई चाहिँ अलिकति त्यसको लागि चाहिँ तिनीहरू गेम चेन्जर थियो तर नेगेटिभ वेमै भए जस्तो देखिन्छ त्यो फिटाको एमेन्डमेन्टहरू हेर्ने भने चाहिँ। त्यो तपाईँले पनि अघि भन्नुभयो कि बिग एफडिआईको इन्भेस्टमेन्ट लिएर आउनलाई चाहिँ च्यालेन्जिङ छ भनेर बिग इन्भेस्टमेन्टमै फोकस गर्नुभयो। तर यहाँ यदि सानो सानो इन्भेस्टरहरू यङ इन्भेस्टमेन्टहरू छन्, एन्टरप्रेनरहरू छन्, उनीहरूले एसएमइजहरूले आफै फरेन इन्भेस्टर्सहरूलाई पिच गरेर कन्भिन्स गरेर सानो सानो फन्डहरू लिएर आउनलाई चाहिँ यति वर्किङ गरिरहेको छन् र त्यो एउटा एक्टले गर्दाखेरि उनीहरू चाहिँ प्रोसेसहरू ब्याक गर्नुपर्ने सिचुएसन देखिन्छ। हामीले फोकस गर्नुपर्ने अहिलेको सिचुएसनमा कन्ट्रीले चाहिँ 10 अरबको एउटा एफडिआई छ त्यो, अनि त्यसमा थुप्रै च्यालेन्जेसहरू छ अनि त्यो आउन पनि सक्दैन, बिचमा के गरेर रोकिन्छ, पोलिटिकल उसहरूले गर्दा रोकिन्छ। त्यसमा फोकस गर्नुपर्ने हो कि यो एसएमइजहरू जुनले चाहिँ आफै वर्किङ गरेर त्यसलाई चाहिँ पोलिसी लेभलमै त्यतातिर वर्किङ गर्नुपर्ने, कुनमा फोकस गर्नुपर्ने।
ओके, I'll take the last question एकैचोटि आन्सर गर्नु एफडिआईको।
My question is, in a small country like Nepal, we have around 28 commercial banks, right? बाटोमा हिँड्दाखेरि एकपछि अर्को ब्याङ्कहरू हुन्छ। घरमा अब बुवालाई अब मोबाइलबाटै पैसा ट्रान्सफर गर्न मिल्छ भने पनि नआल गो टु द ब्याङ्क। अब नेपाल इन्भेस्टमेन्ट ब्याङ्क जानुहुन्छ होइन, हि टेक्स अ टिकट, अब 1 घन्टाको लाइन हुन्छ, साइडमा एउटा ब्यानर हुन्छ, नम्बर 1 ब्याङ्क अफ नेपाल होइन। वाट्स द रोल अफ कमर्सियल ब्याङ्क्स? They're just pushing the products into the market, but not giving them appropriate literacy campaigns as to like how to use those products. So what's the role of commercial banks, firstly? And this news making rounds that they're like, the central bank is asking the banks to go into mergers. So where do you see the Nepalese banking industry moving ahead?
Okay, I think I'll just address both of them very quickly. Is your fintech, I mean, I'm not saying big investments, also big investments is required, and I've been a big campaigner for SMEs. That's why we did the Business Oxygen was a landmark equity fund that we structured, and as we speak, we have friends who are there with me at Hague. We have been pitching in different countries for another fund. And we have been working on startup ecosystem also. It has to go hand in hand. You need the big pieces, also you need the small pieces. The small pieces के हो भने यहाँ चाहिँ विदेशी आउने बित्तिकै चाहिँ स्वदेशीले खान पाउँदैन भन्ने चाहिँ अगेन यो माटो सुहाउँदो नेसनलिजम आयो क्या, त्यसले गर्दा प्रब्लम भएको। And if you look at it, it's not the government who has made the decision. It is यहाँको सुपर कार्टेल्सहरूले चिठी पठाएर चाहिँ होइन यो गभर्मेन्टले चाहिँ चेन्ज गरेको। एग्रिकल्चरको केसमा होइन मन्त्री गएर चाहिँ एग्रिकल्चरमा इन्भेस्ट गर्नु भनेर इन्भेस्टमेन्ट समिटमा त्यत्रो कुरा गर्यो, अब एग्रिकल्चरलाई चाहिँ नेगेटिभ लिस्टमा राख्यो होइन। इट्स सो एम्बारेसिङ होइन। सो आई थिङ्क दिस इज अगेन थाहा नभएको कुरा होइन, यो थाहा भएकै कुरा हो। I mean, it's about how this is going to move. Let's see. But we've been working very hard to get this 500,000 thing out. Sectoral हुन्छ कि के हुन्छ, अब त्यहाँ काम भइरहेछ। यसमा अस्तिको दिन पनि हामी बसेका थियौँ। We've been pushing. Let's see. I mean, we are very keen that next. यहाँ इनिशियली फन्ड आउने भनेको ठुल्ठुलो आउनु, फन्ड क्लोज हुनु पनि टाइम लाग्छ क्या। अहिले आउने भनेको हामीले देखेको चाहिँ $2-3 million को फन्ड्सहरू आएर $200,000-300,000 को इन्भेस्टमेन्ट गर्न सक्ने सानो स्टार्टअप्सहरूमा चाहिँ त्यस्तो देखिरहेछौँ। गोइङ ब्याक टु ब्याङ्किङको चाहिँ कस्तो भयो भने ब्याङ्क्स यहाँ आएको भने चाहिँ के भयो भने अस्ति म अर्थात्कै उसमा जाँदाखेरि मान्छेले मलाई फोन यो ब्याङ्कर त डाका हो, ब्याङ्करले त यस्तो गर्छ भने मान्छेले भन्यो। अनि मैले भने तपाईँहरूले चाहिँ ब्याङ्कमा लगानी नगरेको मान्छेले हात उठाउनुहोस् भने छैन, सबैले ब्याङ्कमा लगानी गरेको छ। ब्याङ्कले चाहिँ बोनस सेयर इस्यु गर्दा चाहिँ मुसु हाँस्ने होइन, अनि यता चाहिँ इन्ट्रेस्ट बढी भयो भनेर कराउने। सो इट्स अबाउट ब्याङ्क्स हेभ बिन रन फर सेयर होल्डर्स इन्ट्रेस्ट, इट्स नथिङ टु डु विथ ब्याङ्किङ। सो द्याट्स द फन्डामेन्टल डिफरेन्स इन नेपाल इन ब्याङ्किङ। र अर्को के छ भने इट गोज ब्याक टु दिस अवेरनेस इस्यु एन्ड अल द्याट। एउटा नदर ब्याङ्कमा आई वाज रनिङ अ लिडरसिप थिङ, अनि मलाई आएर एकजनाले सर हाम्रो त एकदम अहिले त्यो डिजिटल गइरहेको छ नि, डिजिटल हामीले त यस्तो गरेँ, एप बनाएँ यस्तो भने मैले तपाईँ चलाउनुहुन्छ बिजुलीको बिल तिर्नुलाई, दिस अ सिनियर म्यानेजर हो त्यो चलाउँदिनँ। अनि somebody who doesn't do it himself, how is he going to teach their customers to do it नि होइन। 4 जना कन्सल्टेन्ट 3टा ट्रेनी ल्याउँछ, कुन चाहिँ डोनरले अलिअलि पैसा दिएको हुन्छ त्यो गर्नलाई पनि सक्यो कि। सो त्यो होल ट्रान्सफर्मेसन चाहिन्छ भन्ने, बिकज त्यहाँ त सबै रेन्ट सिक गर्ने मान्छेहरू छ नि होइन, बिकज त्यो ट्रान्सफर्मेसन थिङ्किङ त भएन होइन। अब अनि त्यसले गर्दाखेरि पनि यो ब्याङ्क्सहरूको चाहिँ इस्यु भयो एन्ड इट्स अ भेरी गुड बिजनेस टु बी इन यतिको गरेर त मजासँग 6-8% स्प्रेड खान पाइरहेछ भने मेहनत किन गर्ने हाम्रो त वी गो ब्याक टु दिस होल issue of productivity, of issue of what it means to be having a cool job, so it goes back to all that. So nobody is willing to think of it. सबैजनाले के भने it's a cartel behavior नि तपाईले यो प्रोडक्ट बेच म अनि यो प्रोडक्ट बेच्छु भन्छ अनि हाम्रो सेन्ट्रल ब्याङ्कले त चाहियो भने त कुन चिया खाने भनेर पनि भनिदिन्छ तपाईले चाहिँ दिनमा 3 कप चिया चाहिँ यो टोक्ला मात्रै खानुहोस् भनिदिन्छ के हाम्रो रेगुलेटर पनि त्यस्तै छ नि देन ओपननेस नै छैन हैन त्यो भएपछि पनि च्यालेन्ज हुन आएको सो रेगुलेटर त्यस्तै पर्यो त्यसपछि अब ब्याङ्क्समा थिङ्किङ प्रोसेस भएको शेयरहोल्डर्स पनि त्यसरी पर्यो त्यसले गर्दा चाहिँ यो प्रब्लम भएको जस्तो लाग्छ ओके सो एन्ड इट सेज 43 seconds so it has been I think very good interacting and I will sort of continue to discuss sort of over coffee. I'll be more than happy. Follow me on Twitter at Sujeev Shakya, and you can go to sujeevshakya.com. You can see all my writings and other stuff. Sort of, I've always been, मेरो एउटा मन्त्र छ भने चाहिँ यो एउटा एप्पलको एड छ 1992 को Google for it. त्यसले चाहिँ के भन्छ भने people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And I think that's a big mantra I believe in. Thank you.